Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Simcha gedola, liot liot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liot liot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liot liot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liot 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 besimcha. Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Simcha gedola, liot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liot liot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liot liot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liot besimcha. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Simcha gedola, liot liot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liot liot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liot liot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liot besimcha. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smile. Geba Shmeichel, geba Shmeichel, geba Shmeichel, geba smile. Geba Shmeichel, geba Shmeichel, be the reason someone smile. Siva gedola, lion besimcha. Siva gedola, lion besimcha. Siva gedola, lion besimcha. Siva gedola, lion besimcha. Siva gedola.
Breakfast with Elli.
Mode ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla raba emunatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Bayrei pri hagafei. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Bayrei min ha'samim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Bayrei moirei ha'esh.
Noya mavdil ben kodesh lechol.
Good morning and welcome to Breakfast with Elli. It is Sunday, the 15th day of December, the 14th day of Kislev. Wow. The Torah portion is Vayeshev. HaYom Yom Rishon l'Shabbos, the first day, counting up towards Shabbos. We're learning the first Aliyah. Yes, indeed, that is the Rebbe and the Rebbitzin in back of me. And today is their wedding anniversary, and so we celebrate together with them. More on that in just a couple of minutes. Yud Dalet Sivan, the wedding anniversary of the Lubavitcher Rebbe and his wife, the Rebbitzin. All right. Yeah, good stuff. Good Shavua Tov, a good week. I hope that your Shabbos was amazing, and that the week to come be everything that you want it to be, and a little bit of everything that you need it to be, and everything, a little bit of what you want it to be as well. And I will eventually get that phrase right in my brain, because it's Sunday morning and it's cold outside and it's cold in here. I have my space heater on underneath me, so don't worry. I'm taken care of. All right. Let us start. We need to still continue saying Tehillim for Rabbi Pesach Krohn. So please, let's do chapter 121 quickly.
Shir lamalos esa enai el heharim me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai osei shomayim va'aretz hayiten lamot raglecha hayanum shomrecha hinei lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael Adonai shomerecha
Come on in.
Adonai tzilecha על יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה, וירח בלילה. אדוני ישמורך, מכל רע ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם.
All right. Fantastic. All right, men and boys, take your two front sitzes. Let's make a bracha. Everyone else, join us in the second bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah. Hareini mekabel alai mitzvat aseh shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Torah tziva lanu Moshe.
All right.
Put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the
Here we
pushki
go.
for someone else to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
All right. All right, and now for the Shema. Take your right hand, put it over your eyes.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuso Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha HaYom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvelechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot Ben einecha uchtabtam al mezuzot beitecha uvish'arecha.
All right, fantastic. And that takes us to breakfast, which we have here today, as represented by our coffee and our yogurt. We're making a bracha shahakol. Are you ready? Let us do it together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shahakol nihiyah bidvaro.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or two in the evening too. For me, it's the only way.
All right. Here we go. Wow. All right, good stuff. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Let us all right. Let us now go to today in Jewish history. Interesting. All right. Did I get lost? Yeah, I did. Hold on. Why, yes, Virginia, I do have a slight cold. It's okay. All right, hold on. I'm going to get this. I don't know what's going on here. All right. Well, we'll have to figure that in a few minutes. All right. The Shah Abbasi of Persia intensified his persecution against the Jews on this day, forcing them to live clandestinely as Jews while outwardly practicing in Islam in 1619. Matthias Kalahora, a physician in Poland, was accused by Friar Servatius of blaspheming the mother of J.C. in 1663, based solely on the testimony of Servaticus. Kalahora was tortured and burned at the stake. The Council of Rabbis met in Satanov, Poland, to ratify a cherem against the Frankist cult in 1756. According to the council, the Frankists broke the fundamentals of Jewish law and accepted tenets of Christianity. And on this day, Jacob Frank died. In 1791, his daughter became leader of the cult until her death in 1816, after which the group, primarily in Poland and Bohemia, became absorbed into the non-Jewish middle class. Greece granted citizenship to Jews on this date in 1830, and the first plane of Operation Magic Carpet bring Yemenite Jews to Israel in 1948. Going backwards a little bit, Reuven, the eldest son of Yaakov and Leah, was born in Haran, Mesopotamia. As Jacob's firstborn, he was initially entitled to the leadership of Israel and a double portion in the Holy Land, but these privileges were taken from him and respectively given to Judah and Joseph because he sinned by violating the bed of his father, as we learned last week. All right. And as we told you, it is the Rebbe's wedding anniversary. On the 14th day of Kislev in 1928, the Lubavitcher Rebbe married Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka Schneerson, the middle daughter of the previous Rebbe. The wedding was held in Warsaw, Poland, at the Lubavitcher Yeshiva. When Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak passed in 1950, Rabbi Menachem Mendel, the son-in-law, succeeded his father as the Rebbe of Chabad Lubavitch. on the 14th day of Kislev in 1953 at a Hasidic gathering marking the Rebbe's 25th wedding anniversary. He said to his Hasidim, "This is the day that linked me to you and you to me." Whoa, cool words. All right, let's watch a video about the 14th of Kislev really quick.
What do you do when you get a bottle of mashke? Mashke means a bottle of vodka from the Rebbe, and the Rebbe wishes you mazel tov for the wedding. But you wonder what this is all about because you've been married already for 17 or 18 years. So before I tell you that story, let us all say together a chapter of Tehillim, chapter 100, thanking God for the miracles and praying for the ultimate miracle, Moshiach. And this is the solution for everything. As they say in Hebrew, they have these saying, Hapitaron HaYachid, the only solution, Mashiach ben David. Mizmor l'soy dori l'nosoi. Let's give some tzedakah on this special Erev Shabbos. Erev Shabbos Parshas Vayishlach. As we spoke during this week many times about the meanings of Vayishlach, etc. But today, my customary Erev Shabbos story. This coming Sunday is Yudalet Kislev, the 14th day of the month of Kislev, which is the day when the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin got married. Talk about this. If Chas v'Shalom is still in exile on Sunday, we'll have time to talk about it. But today I want to share with you a story. I think the most unusual, fascinating story about the Rebbe's blessing for a wedding that a person didn't understand what this is all about. So here is the story. I don't know the name of the individual, but this is a European religious Jew who somehow became connected to Chabad, started going to shiurim, to classes of Chassidus, and one day decided time has come for him to see the Rebbe, to visit with the Rebbe. So he came to New York and was amazingly inspired. And he noticed during the Farbrengen, which is when the Rebbe would gather and speak to the thousands of Chassidim in the hall, at certain times there was also an opportunity to get a bottle of vodka. If you had a special event, if you had an institution to look after, etc. And they would go over to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe would give l'chaim, and the Rebbe would give a blessing for success for whatever the event was. Now, seemingly he did not really understand what this is all about, but he had this great desire also to get a bottle of mashke, as it's called, a bottle of vodka from the Rebbe, a blessed bottle. He managed getting a bottle of mashke, and he walks over to the Rebbe and puts the mashke on the table, doesn't say anything because he doesn't know what's supposed to say something. And the Rebbe looks at him, and the Rebbe tells him, Mazel Tov for the wedding. Okay. He's excited. He has his bracha, and he has his bottle of mashke, stores it well, he comes home, shares with his wife his experiences, and amongst the different things he says, and I even have a bottle of mashke from the Rebbe. The Rebbe gave a Mazel Tov for the wedding. She looks at him and said, Mazel Tov for the wedding. We've been married for 17 years. She got scared. What is the Rebbe saying? At that moment it dawned on him, indeed, this is quite unusual. Anyway, so they decided to put away the bottle of mashke and see what's going to happen when this blessing is going to be materialized. 8 years later, the husband decides, we've been married 25 years, let's make a silver wedding. Big simcha. Okay, why not? Having a party. Caterer, photographer, 400 guests, the whole shebang, minus a chuppah, obviously, and minus a ksuba. The day of the wedding, the fellow goes to check out the place, and he sees that there's a problem. A pipe busted, and the hall is flooded, and nobody can fix it. Caterer is in a dilemma, and he says, look, there's a shul across the street. Why don't we rent the shul, the hall of the shul? It's a little smaller, but we'll set up, we'll do the best we can. No choice. It happens to be that the hall is ready, the hall of the shul is available, and they'll do it. Okay. Before the ceremony, this young man goes to daven mincha in the shul, and there, as he's leaving the shul upstairs to go down to the wedding party, the Rav comes by and says, "Do you mind staying a few minutes?" What's the matter? We have a chuppah, a wedding ceremony, and we need a tent for the minyan. You have a chuppah, a wedding ceremony, no tent to the minyan? What's this all about? And the Rav says, look, the Kala, the girl, is from a very prominent family, but she's marrying a convert, and the family would not accept it. So they boycotted the wedding. So we just have 10 people. That's what it says. We have 400 guests, caterer, music, photographer. Bring the chuppah down to the hall, and we'll have the wedding. And that's exactly what happened. And then he gets up and says, not only do we have the wedding, this young couple has the Rebbe's blessing and mashke that the Rebbe gave you 8 years ago. Mazel tov for the wedding. And let me just add, Ribono Shel Olam, you have the whole party ready since 5,785 years that you prepared the meal and the wine for that wedding between you and us in the time of Mashiach. It would be wonderful to have that wedding today.
I'm ready. Are you guys ready? Yeah? All right, we can do it. We really can. All right, here's one more quickly.
Benegea Yudalet Kislev, I had the schus to be in the Yeshiva of the Torah in the year Tov Shilametes, and living that moment of the Giluyim of Yovel HaChamishim was a sifer of all the Tumimim in 770. I had to get ready to Yudalet Kislev, and there was a achlote to divide between all the Tumimim 800 Maimorim from the day from the Rebbe's Nasias, and that all the Bachim should learn a Maimah Bal Peh to give it a matana to the Rebbe for Yudalet Kislev.
There's a certain Bacha that when we did in the Shnatz Al-Goyim in Toshach says, so he took upon himself for the hours and the Mamorim came to $40 per Tzedakah. He didn't think that the Rebbe wants from him he should give away his $40. And he was arguing against us. But we were explaining him all the reasons that we think he should go ahead with it. It got to his head and got to his heart. One day he brought in a bag and he threw the bag to us. He gave the whole bank book, but at the end it says 000, he gave everything away, about $3,200 and change. He gave everything that he saved up his whole life. This makes an impression on me till now. And every time I think about it, this gives a seirif that comes to the years of the Rebbe's Chasna. We should be in this Erev.
The Rebbe called Rabbi Chodakov right after Ma'ariv, and he let him know. Rabbi Chodakov came out, and he said, 9:30 verbringen. You cannot imagine the simcha. Everybody was jumping from simcha that there's going to be a verbringen for Yevelshon.
And by the verbringen, we sang all in the gunim of Chasnas and of Sheva Brachim. And the Rebbe was very ugelegt, very up in this Nas HaChamishim.
We were standing by the Fabringim, we felt as Mamesh, the Rebbe's Chasana is happening now again. There was so many nigudim of Chasana by the Fabringim.
Mezelter der Ninak von Bnei Yisrael, bei Medina zu, und Neicheten bekamo Medines, als kommt der Yema Chasana befragt, in Yema Chasana, was verbunden mit der Misspersonen Messuyom, ist demut macht man zusammen, kleibt man sich zusammen in die Bnei HaMishpocha, Yedidin, Vayevin, Vechulu, und mit demut Aginye, was mich Sameach und Meidet, Ish Esreyehu, Ish Esreyuso, Bechol der Unionen, wie man setzt sich in der Mine Gamedin.
Teire Brüder, Teire Chassidim, reden sich auf den Choshventag, Heiligen Tag, Yema Boyer Yudalet Kislev. Es ist nicht auch in Scheile, aber beim Reben, dem Ingen Protiv, es ist vorgekommen Yudalet Kislev. Beim Reben ist geworden, dass Ingen Kloli für Adas Chassidim. Rebbe hat Megale gewinnt zu Chassidim, nicht durch den Tag, nur dem Hus von dem Tag hat mir Kasche gewinnt dem Reben mit Chassidem.
Went into the house. He didn't know somebody was there. The first thing they ever walked in, he picked up his hand and you dollar Kislev, Mazel Tov, with a big smile.
It's up to us, though, to come to that day in a way that we're prepared, in a way that we bring matonis, poshet, gifts to the Rebbe, increments of Torah that learned, Tishim, Tzedakah, Mitzvahim, things that are connected with Tishim.
Es kumuvan die größte Achone darf sein, zugleiten bei dem Feier in dem Tag in der richtige Weg. Und das ist durch Chaysofe, in die Mudatere, Avidas Atfila, Tzedakah.
We have a chance to do good things in this schus that will be a schus for us. We should learn Mamorim of the Rebbe from the Drusha Chasana and do good deeds, give tzedakah, and learn Torah.
Chassidim, Tzadik, Shona means Meraktim. Bosh, man darf tanzen. Darf sich freuen. You have to be excited, happy, joyous. The Judal Kislev happened, and as the Rebbe said, they connect him to us and us to him. L'chaim.
All right, l'chaim indeed. All right. And now we are going to go to HaYom Yom for today, the 14th day of Kislev, the anniversary of the Rebbe and Rebbe getting married.
I have this memory as a young Chabad boy standing with a lulav and the set of the Arba Minim on Sukkot outside of a big a grocery store, asking the people coming out of the store if they would like to do the mitzvah. And there was one woman who was very gracious and happy to do the mitzvah, but as she's holding the lulav in her hands, she asks, so is this for good luck, or is this for good health, or what's coming back at me for doing this mitzvah? And it wasn't the right setting, and I probably wasn't old and mature enough at the time to get into a discussion with her about the idea that while it is true that there are physical, material reward for mitzvahs, no doubt, it's right in the Shema or throughout the Torah, Hashem promises us that if we behave the right way, then there will be physical rewards coming to us. We'll have enough food, we'll be healthy, etc. But the Rambam explains that that's not the extent of the reward of mitzvahs. The true reward of mitzvahs are spiritual rewards. So in today's HaYom Yom, we list 6 levels, ascending levels, from one level to a higher level to the next, in service of Hashem. And each of these levels of service elicit a reward, but as we will find, in most cases, it's a spiritual reward. So let's have a look. Says today's HaYom Yom. In one of the talks of the Rebbe Rashab, the 5th Rebbe of Chabad, he explained the following levels in Avodat Hashem, in service of Hashem. The first level is tzaddik. You always thought that tzaddik is the highest level. Well, in today's HaYom Yom, tzaddik is the first, level number 1. So tzaddik, that's a reference to somebody who is on top of his or her game when it comes to fulfilling all the positive mitzvahs. What is the reward for the tzaddik, for someone fulfilling the positive mitzvahs? This elicits a specific divine revelation from Hashem, known as Seder Hishtalshelus or Mamali Kolaman in short, and this doesn't do justice. It's a level of godliness, of spirituality that is manifest in this world. Okay, so that's level number 1, tzaddik. Moving right along to the next level is yashar. So tzaddik, by the way, simply translated as righteous. Yashar is someone who's on the straight and narrow, but yashar in this context is a reference to somebody who is 100% proficient in the observance of the negative mitzvah. So the tzaddik is the guy who does everything that he's supposed to do. The yashar is the guy who additionally is super careful not just to do everything that he's supposed to do, but that he doesn't do anything that he's not supposed to do. What is the reward for the yashar? This draws forth revelations that transcend the world that we are in. So it elicits, sometimes not doing what you're not supposed to do is harder than doing what you're supposed to do. And therefore, this elicits a transcendent and even higher level of spiritual energy. Then there is, moving right along, the third level is tamim, which they translate here as a person of earnestness. And this elicits yet an even higher spiritual revelation, one that transcends the manifest energy and the transcendent energy. It's such a high level that it's like all of the other levels come together and are all the same in front of the light and the glory of this powerful energy that is elicited by the yashar, by the earnest one. Okay, so that's the first three levels. And now we reach the fourth level, the level of chassid, which is subdivided into three categories. So you got tzaddik, tamim, yashar, and then the three levels of chassid. That's the hierarchy over here. First level of chassid, that's somebody for whom, let's face it, it's a busy world. We all have busy lives, and there's an endless list of things that can get in the way of doing what we need to do. So the first level of chassid, that's the guy for which worldly affairs do not disturb or distract him. That's pretty good. If you can live in today's world and not be distracted and be completely focused on what you need to do, that's the first level of chassid. And says the HaYom, that's a very, very high level, level number 4, but that's a level that is within everybody's reach. Okay? It's a tall order, but apparently we can all do that. Next level, and this is level number 5, the higher level of chassid, is that all his affairs are godliness. So level number 4 was that all of those distractions, it's as if they're not there. This guy's so zeroed in and focused on what he needs to do that the distractions is as if they don't exist. For the higher level, level number 5, this guy is on such a level that when something that appears to be a distraction comes before him, he doesn't even see it as a distraction. He's able to hone in on what is the spiritual mission over here. This is part of Hashem's plan, and he's able to focus on this not as a distraction, but this is part of the godly story of my life. So everything is godliness for this guy. Now you're talking a really, really high level. And this one, says the HaYom, is not within everyone's reach. What is the highest level? The highest level of chassid, says the HaYom, and this is a citation from the Zohar, Eizehu chassid hamischased im koinoi, which translates, who is a chassid? He who conducts himself with benevolence towards his creator. And this is what I find fascinating. The sixth and highest level is a person who is completely selfless. He's doing the right thing, or she's doing the right thing, not to elicit any physical or material reward, and not even to elicit any spiritual reward. This is a person that's doing something, that's doing the mitzvahs, that's observing the Torah, just for Hashem. Even if I don't get any material reward in return for this, or any spiritual reward in return for this. This is just for Hashem. And that's when you know that you're truly in love, when you're doing this not to get anything back whatsoever. And at this highest level, Hashem, it's just for you.
All right. There you have it. And that takes us to a word from our sponsors.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
PestProRidall.com.
PestProRidall.com, trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services. Mention this ad and get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidall.com.
Tarzane Group, micro, miniature, and small orchids. Go to tarzanegroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 305-440-0565 and order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at tarzanegroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids, beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign at gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications, logos, wall hangings, Judaica, and you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text. Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're shopping there. There might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
Helping lots of people any way we can. Tzedakah is the Jewish way to help your fellow man.
All right. If you would like to help us pay for our new computer and pay for our expenses that we have in running this program every day, we're not looking to make a profit. We're just looking to pay for our bills. That's all it is. All right. Go to breakfastwithelli.live/new computer, breakfastwithelli.live/new computer, or patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and give generously today. Your contribution goes to paying our expenses and helping bring Torah all around the world.
Torah, 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 Siva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah.
So it is Sunday. On Sunday, we do the name of the Parsha. And the name of this week's Parsha, Vayeshev, means that he dwelled, referring how Yaakov wanted to dwell in peace and tranquility in the land of Israel, having overcome the challenges posed by Lavan, Esau, and the inhabitants of Shechem, as detailed in last week's Parsha. The Parsha begins with the description of the rivalry between Yaakov's designated heir, Yosef, and his half-brothers. On the one hand, Yaakov recognized that Yosef's superior spiritual qualities made him uniquely suited to steward the family as it would begin its transformation into the Jewish nation. On the other hand, Yaakov's other sons, acutely aware how Avram and Isaac had overestimated the potentials of their sons Ishmael and Esau, were afraid of history repeating itself. When Yosef told them about his two dreams, in which not only he led the family, was practically worshipped by them, they were alarmed by his exhibition of more conceit than they felt befitted the future leader of God's chosen family nation. They therefore contrived to put him in mortal danger, leaving it up to Hashem to decide his fate. At this point, Yaakov's fourth son, Yehuda, who had also been singled out by his father for leadership, albeit not on the same level as Yosef's, proposed that they instead sell Yosef as a slave. That would neutralize him without leaving them culpable, even directly or indirectly rather, for killing him. Well, the brothers agreed, and Yosef was sold as a slave. Nonetheless, they still tried to influence Yaakov to abandon his plans for Yosef as the next leader by tricking him into thinking that he had been killed by a wild animal. The trick kind of worked, but Yaakov, distraught with grief, mourned Yosef's death continuously for 22 years instead of forgetting about him as the brothers had hoped. They blamed Yehuda for their father's inconsolable mourning, pointing out that he had suggested they abandon their plan altogether. Instead of just convincing them to sell Yosef instead of killing him, they would have listened to him. Shunned by his brothers, Yosef left the family and went into business with someone from a neighboring village. Eventually, he married, had 3 sons. When the oldest came of age, Yehuda found a wife for him by the name of Tamar. When the first son died, Yehuda had Tamar marry his second son. When the second son too died, Tamar expected Yehuda to have her marry his third son. But Yehuda, unaware that his first 2 sons had died on account of their own sinful behavior, was afraid that his third son would die after marrying Tamar just as the first 2 had. So he made excuses to Tamar, which she saw through easily enough. Anxious to be the mother of Yehuda's progeny no matter what, Tamar disguised herself as a prostitute after Yehuda's wife died and seduced him. She thus became the mother of twins, Yehuda's 4th and 5th sons, Peretz and Zerach. In the meantime, Yosef, sold into slavery, had been sold to Potiphar, the chief butcher to the Egyptian pharaoh. Potiphar rapidly recognized Joseph's leadership capabilities and put him in charge of his household. Once Joseph started primping himself, Potiphar's wife began making amorous gestures to him, eventually trying to seduce him when her husband and the household were away at a religious celebration. Frustrated by Joseph's rejection of her overtures, she framed him as having tried to seduce her, and as a result, Joseph was put in jail. Just as he was in Potiphar's house, Joseph in jail quickly was recognized for his responsibility and leadership. The warden of the prison put Joseph in charge of the inmates. In this capacity, Joseph noticed that the 2 recently incarcerated inmates, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker, would be executed. And they were troubled by something. In response to his inquiries, they told him about their dream, which Joseph interpreted correctly to mean that the cupbearer would soon be restored to his position, while the baker would be executed. Joseph asked the cupbearer to plead his case before Pharaoh when he would be freed, but the cupbearer forgot about Joseph the minute he left prison. The events of this parsha, as outlined here, seem to be the very antithesis of the peace and tranquility that Yaakov had sought, and which gives the parsha its name. However, we will see that the narrative will unfold in the coming parshas, and the threads of Yosef and Yehuda's lives will be tied together. The events of this parsha will indeed lead to the final analysis, to the tranquility that Yaakov was looking for, both in his own life and in the collective destiny of the Jewish people. Again, always a positive outlook. Yaakov and his family settle in Eretz Canaan, in the first Aliyah. As we just heard, of all his sons, Yaakov favored Yosef, the firstborn of his deceased beloved wife Rachel, and he made for him Kesenes Pasim, a special robe of fine wool. The brothers were jealous of the favoritism and avoided talking to Yosef. Yosef related to his brothers 2 dreams that he had had, both implying that he would eventually rule over his brothers, and increased the brothers' hatred and envy. Ooh, heavy-duty stuff, right? All right, let's go for Chumash and Rashi with Rabbi Avtson. Are you ready? with Rabbi Epstein is next. Here we go.
Sunday. Give me a break. Why do I want a break? When I'm engaged in something dynamic and exciting, I don't want a break. I want to keep going. Vayeshev. Yaakov wants rest, not laziness. He wants harmony between the physical and the spiritual. Don't we all? That time will come. Right now, our role is to enable that through our hard work, not so we can get to sit on the couch so we won't have to have conflict. That's rest.
Bruchim habayim to all of our Shnayim Yomi listeners. This week's parasha, Parashat Vayeshev, the first Aliyah. Yosef is 17 years old, very close to his father, learning day in, day out with his father. His father loves him and he makes him a beautiful Ketonet Pasim, a robe with beautiful stripes, very, very beautiful. And the brothers, unfortunately, get jealous. They feel that on a certain level, Yosef is, on a very deep level, rebelling against them. And they are already upset with him. And then one day Yosef comes and he says to his brothers, I had a dream. What was the dream? And he says, we are all binding bundles. There's bundles of wheat. We're in the yard and there's all these bundles of wheat, and suddenly all my bundle got up and all of your bundles bowed down to my bundle. And the brothers, when they hear this, again pointing out that this is something that Yosef feels he's on top of the others, they get very, very upset with him and they have a certain level of hateness. And then he says, wait, I had another dream. All right? And what was the second dream? That, he says, I see the sun and the moon, the sun referring to Yaakov, the moon referring to Rachel or Bilhah, and 11 stars bowing down to me. And his father says, don't say it because it's causing too much jealousy. And the brothers get upset. But the pasuk, the Aliyah ends off that the father, shamar et hadavar, he kept it in his heart knowing that the dreams will one day come true. One of the most important lessons is to remember, when a child has an ambition, has a dream, not to put down the dream. You never know. Those strengths, that potential of the child could reach the child to such great places.
Are rabbis a bit judgmental sometimes?
Judgmental! Judgmental! The rabbi's judgmental!
Sometimes.
Tzedek, tzedek, tirdaif! Justice, justice you shall pursue! The whole Torah is predicated on justice and therefore on judgment!
What do you think?
He's a bit scary.
Right?
But ask him if he thinks rabbis always judge fairly.
Who is this little girl? And why is she even part of this mature discussion?
Do rabbis always judge fairly? I mean, isn't it possible for even the greatest judge to misjudge sometimes? Even a court, a beit din of the greatest judges.
A beis din! A tribunal of holy rabbis, men erudite in Torah matters, in the highest degree of erudition, are next to infallible.
Take the case of Joseph's brothers, for example. When they decided to execute him, they did so on the basis of a reasoned judgment that he, Joseph, had brought a bad, incriminating report of them to their father, so that they would incur their father's curse.
Who says this?
Rabbi Ovadia Sforno. 16th century Italian Parsha.
I know who the Sforno is!
According to the Sforno, Joseph's brothers had misapplied the rule of Haba lehargecha, hashkem lehargo.
If someone comes to kill you, wake up early and kill him first. Sanhedrin 72:8.
Yosef's brothers were all tzaddikim, righteous men. What, you think they were a bunch of hoodlums?
Chas v'shalom.
Hoodlums.
Aye, chas v'shalom. This is why the Sforno specifies that the decision of the brothers to execute Yosef was a result of rabbinic judiciousness.
But they were wrong.
Why is this little girl allowed to speak?
They were wrong.
They were wrong, the brothers.
Ah, yes, which is why Reuben, the eldest brother and supreme judge, overruled their decision and spared Yosef's life.
And instead, the brothers threw Joseph into a pit.
An empty pit.
A pit with no water in it.
Ein b'mayim, there was no water in it. What does any of this have to do with the fact that Yosef's brothers came to a judgment that was
wrong?
Chutzpah.
The judgment was wrong.
It wasn't exactly wrong.
What, Joseph was guilty?
Not exactly guilty.
Because there was no water.
What does water have to do with this? Hacken mir ein Scheinig mit dem Wasser.
The water, or the lack of water, in the pit was symbolic. Water represents the fact that a totally selfless commitment to the Torah is tasteless. Water is bittul.
Bittul?
Bittul means negation.
I know what bittul means, little girl.
Are you related?
Uncle.
Is he always this irritable?
He's a bit quick to judge sometimes.
Excuse me, but I can hear everything you're saying, which is not very respectful, doesn't show very much bittul, and you still haven't explained in clear terms what bittul, total humility, has to do with the absence of water in Yosef's pit.
Joseph's brothers. Do you want to?
Please.
Joseph's brothers were tzaddikim.
Righteous men, righteous judges.
But the sense of self-importance wasn't completely negated in complete humility.
When they passed judgment on Joseph, they still factored in their own importance into their judgment. They refused to apply what they knew to be divine wisdom in this case, if this wisdom had no taste, if it didn't appeal to their personal intellectual palates.
But real divine wisdom is tasteless, like water.
Divine wisdom is infinitely beyond the grasp of the human intellect, and in order to tap into it, a judge must renounce any desire to fully appreciate what makes a fair judgment fair.
So the brothers judged Yosef as a matter of personal taste?
Like chocolate or vanilla.
There is Neapolitan.
I don't like strawberry.
Right?
But justice is beyond strawberry.
Justice is beyond taste.
So the judgment of the brothers was wrong.
And I suppose your judgment is better.
Hey, I'm just a little girl. Just a little girl.
Thank heaven for humble little girls.
Very, very, very cute. I liked it. It was a lot of fun. And now let's say some Tehillim.
Al Yedei Amidas Tehillim Ve'al Yedei Amidas Tehillim Ve'al Yedei Amidas Tehillim Tisoyrecha Vatzeles HaShoroin.
All right. The saying of Tehillim is so vitally important that we hopefully will say it every waking moment. And if you're not saying it every waking moment, please make some time. Say some Tehillim. It's a big, big mitzvah. Big, big mitzvah. All right? Let's do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. All right. Chapters 23 and 123 today. Ready? Let's go.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי, לא אחסר, פינוס תשע, ירביצני, על מי מנוחוס ינהלני, נפשי שובב, ינחני ומעגלי צדק, למען שמו, גם כי לך בגי צלמובס, לא ירא רע, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי. תשענת בשמן ראשי, עושי לוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני. כל ימי חיי ושבתי בביס אדוני לאורך ימים.
שיר המלך ולך נסוסי יסייני הישבי בשמיים הנחייני עבודים היד עדיניהם כי הנה שבחו יד כבirto
All right, we're doing Tanya for the day. Here we go. 14th day of Kislev.
Tanya thoughts for the 14th of Kislev. If someone has a lot of children, does that make them a good parent? If they beam with pride at their child's success, does that make them a good parent? If they're invested in every nuanced detail of their child, know all their friends, fears, and joys, that's what makes them a good parent. Because the details matter. When we comply, we bond with Hashem in those details. When we wing it, we show disregard. Hashem knows what he wants, and he's asked us to show care and concern for his requests. Will we take the time and effort to comply with what Hashem asks?
Let's talk Tanya for the 14th of Kislev of a leap year. Today we begin the 6th chapter of Kuntres Achron. Thank God we finished the Kabbalah. From here till the end of Tanya is going to be the few days we have left. There's going to be smooth sailing. The subject matter will be much simpler. In this chapter, the Alter Rebbe is going to talk about the nature of Torah. And the Alter Rebbe begins with a story which is, the Talmud tells us, actually it's a story which we find in the Nach, we find in the book of Shmuel, where it says that David HaMelech, he conquers the city of Yerushalayim, he settles there, he makes it his capital. And after he settled there, after a certain amount of time, he says, you know what, it's time to bring the Aron, the Ark, with the tablets, with the Luchas, it's time to bring it to Yerushalayim. So he makes a whole joyous celebration and a whole ceremony, and they're transporting the Ark to the city of Yerushalayim. And on the way, and they were transporting it on a wagon, and on the way, something slipped, and the Aron, the Ark looked like it was about to slip off the wagon. And there were two brothers, they were Kehanim, their names were Achioy and Uzzah. And they went to catch the Aron, to catch the Ark, and on the spot they passed away. And that really put a damper on the celebrations, and everything was called off, and the Ark wasn't actually brought to Yerushalayim at that time. They waited another few months. And why Achioy and Uzzah were punished is one question. But the Gemara, the Talmud, asks another question. Why did David deserve to have his parade rained upon? Here David HaMelech was making this big ceremony. It was a time of joy. Why did he deserve that this whole celebration should be destroyed, so to say, by the death of these two Kohanim? And the Talmud tells us the reason why is because there's a pasuk in Tehillim where David HaMelech says, Zemiros hayuli chukacha beveis megorei, which means David HaMelech is praising, he's extolling the greatness of Torah and saying, the Torah, they are like songs. I love them like I love songs. And Hashem took exception to this. And Hashem says, David HaMelech, you're calling my Torah songs? My Torah is serious stuff. As a punishment, I swear that what's going to happen is you are going to forget a simple halacha, a simple law, which even little children know, which is that the Aron is never supposed to be carried on a wagon. The Aron, the ark, is always supposed to be carried on the shoulders. You're going to forget that, and that's also going to cause the David HaMelech celebration will be ruined. That's what the Talmud tells us. And obviously, there are a lot of questions, unresolved questions over here. Starting with, we really don't know what's wrong with calling Torah songs. That sounds very sweet. That's number one. Why was David punished in this particular way? We know in the Torah, everything is precise, everything is exact. The punishment always exactly matches the crime. And it was a very unique type of punishment that David forgets. Why is forgetfulness the punishment for this? And not only that he forgot, but what he forgot about, something that has to do with carrying the ark as opposed to transporting on a wagon. What is the connection? What's going on over here? So the Alter Rebbe will explain it. But first, in today's Tanya, we're going to try to understand, why did David refer to Torah as a song? A song is soothing, is comforting. A song also is connected to praise. David HaMelech viewed somehow Torah to be the praise of God. In which way is the Torah the praise of God? In which way is it comparable to a song? So Alter Rebbe explains, there's a pasuk, there's a verse that says, Marabu masacha Hashem mi'oid amku machshavesecha. How great are your deeds or your actions, your creations, O God, and your thoughts are so deep. What is the connection between these two things? So the Alter Rebbe says, we have all of creation. Where does all of creation come from? Everything in creation comes from the Torah, from the mitzvahs, which is why you do a mitzvah, you open up the spigot, you open up the faucet, and energy comes flowing into creation. We don't do a mitzvah, or we do a mitzvah wrong, the energy is shut off. The entire creation is completely 100% dependent upon Torah and mitzvahs for its existence, which tells us how much greater Torah is than this world. So, Marabu Masach Hashem, I look around, I see all of creation, I'm like, wow, how wondrous, how great all of creation is. And from that I realize, how deep, God, are your thoughts, the Torah. How great is Torah, because however great creation is, Torah is that much greater than creation, because Torah is the source of creation. Now, David HaMelech had a very difficult life. He's busy running away from his father-in-law who wants to kill him. He's wandering the deserts, the Judean desert. And David HaMelech, what would he do when he wanted to relax, when he wanted to comfort himself? He would sit down and learn some Torah. And then he would think to himself, all the world, everything that I'm worried about and everything that preoccupies my mind is nothing, because all of that is dependent upon the flow which comes from the Torah that I'm learning right now. And that is why David HaMelech called the Torah a song, singing the praise of God, and that's what he did to be happy and to become in a world which was a tumultuous world for him. And the obvious question is, and what's wrong with that? What's wrong with calling Torah a song? What's wrong with realizing the greatness of Torah as the source of all of creation? The answer to that will come in tomorrow's Let's Talk Tanya.
Can't argue with that. You gotta wait. Gotta wait your turn. You gotta wait until it's time. We will sell no Tanya before it's time. All right. All right, we are learning about Hanukkah one day at a time, and we are doing Fire Up My Hanukkah Part 8, the last.
Today there are 100,000 points of light shimmering in the world because somebody had the courage to do what was right. So Hanukkah celebrates the extraordinary miracle of the Maccabees overcoming Greek oppression and then culminating in the dedication of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. Came to the temple, they found a cruse of oil that was only enough to last for one day. And they kindled it,
And a miracle happened that lasted for 8 days. And that is why, till this day, we all celebrate Hanukkah for 8 crazy days. But if you think about it, it's strange. According to all accounts, there was enough oil for the first day. So that means there were 7 days of a miracle, not 8. Why do we celebrate 8 days of Hanukkah? And the answer is this. Often we think that a miracle is something that God drops on us from heaven, an extraordinary thing that comes from heaven. But sometimes, do you know what a miracle is? It's when the human being has the Maccabean courage to take the first step, to kindle the first flame. When we do that, then miracles come to the work that we have done. That's what we celebrate on Hanukkah. The 7 days celebrate God's miracle. And the first day celebrates the miracle that the Maccabees had that courageous faith to take the first step, to fight, to kindle the menorah. Contemporary example. During World War II, thousands of Jews were trapped in Lithuania, nowhere to go. They would be decimated in the Holocaust. The Japanese ambassador named Mr. Sugihara figured that if he gives them visas from Japan, that would be a way to escape. The Japanese sent him a message, absolutely no visas, absolutely no exceptions, not one. Sugihara knew that if he does so, he would be punished, he would be fired, but he said, I'm going to follow my conscience and God. And for 30 days, Sugihara spent around the clock, barely sleeping, writing visas straight with his own hand. He ended up writing in 30 days 6,000 visas. Every one of the Jews who received one of Sugihara's visas ended up surviving. Now, in the year 2020, they are estimated to be 100,000 survivors living in the world today, recipients from Sugihara's visas. We are called on to have courage to light that one flame, to do that courageous act. And it's impossible to know the consequences of what will happen. Today there are 100,000 points of light shimmering in the world because somebody had the courage to do what was right. The Maccabees could not know what the result of their kindling of the menorah would be. Neither could Sugihara, and neither could we. But one thing we do know. The Hanukkah lights lasted 8 nights because the Maccabees had the courage to light the first. Today there are 100,000 Jewish people alive because Sugihara had the courage to issue one visa at a time. So we all, perhaps not on the battlefield, are called on every day to kindle that light. And when we do so, miracles happen. Happy Hanukkah.
Rambam class.
No, it's not impossible that ever did say. Just study Rambam each and every day. I'll never miss my daily Rambam. My episode is
Baruch Hashem, today is day number 264 of our daily study of Rambam Sefer Mitzvahs. And in the 3 chapters a day study track of Mishnah Torah, we just started yesterday a new book, Sefer Kinyan, the book of acquisitions. And we started Hilchas Mechira, the laws of sales. Not like sales on a boat, sales like buying and selling. So today we're learning chapters 4, 5, and 6 of those laws. And corresponding to that is our mitzvah for today, one mitzvah, and it is a repeat. I mentioned yesterday that today would be a repeat. I also said there will be many repeats when we're going through these laws. And the reason is, very simply, these laws contain a lot of detail, so it takes many chapters in Mishnah Torah to explain it, but there's not that many different mitzvahs that we're actually studying here. Okay, positive commandment 245 is the mitzvah, the positive commandment to follow Torah's guidelines, laws, rules regarding how property is transferred from one owner to another. Now, yesterday, I spoke about the idea that when you're purchasing a movable object, biblically, it's enough to just give money for it. But rabbinically, one should actually pick it up. It's called mashicha. Pull the object toward you. Take it in hand. What if we're dealing with real estate, which we call karka in Torah law? Karka literally means the ground itself. What if we're selling a piece of ground, a piece of land? So then it's obviously not possible to pick it up in your hand. So how does it transfer ownership? There are different views on this. In our day and age, it is virtually unheard of that somebody should just buy property with cash and it's just an oral contract between the buyer and seller. There's something called a deed. So in Torah law, that documentation, what's called a shtar in rabbinic discourse, that would be a way of effectively transferring the ownership. Also, there's a concept called chazaka. What is chazaka? Chazaka is a very common term in Jewish law. It means a presumption based on some type of evidence, usually a pattern, like something is repeated and it becomes established as a chazaka. But there are other ways of arriving at a chazaka, and particularly in our discussion, how can it be established there is a chazaka of ownership, that this property, this real estate, has transferred from the previous owner, the person that until now we thought was the owner, and it's now the property of the new owner. Who's this guy? Is this his? So one way of establishing that is something called chazaka. And how is the chazaka actually established? Well, making an improvement on the property. So let's say a guy puts a lock on the door, or let's say he makes renovations. So that's considered the act of an owner. And that would establish a chazaka. Oh, this guy is really the owner. That's the way that it's done with real estate that you can't pick up in your hand. Okay, we're going to be continuing with more mitzvahs that are related to mechira, to buying and selling. We'll see you for more, God willing, tomorrow.
Today we again study Positive Mitzvah 245, which is the Torah's general instruction that we are to obey its guidelines when it comes to buying and selling and how we effectuate transactions. One of the most basic concepts when discussing these laws is the concept of kinyan, which means acquisition. By Torah law, verbal agreement does not mean that a transaction has taken place. So if I go as a buyer to a seller and we agree just with our words, and even if there's witnesses, that I will sell you this product, that does not mean that the product is sold. An act of kinyan, which the Torah recognizes as an act of acquisition, must take place, and only then does the property change hands. This applies both to real estate and to movable items. There are many types of kinyanim which the Torah recognizes as effective. Today we'll just discuss a couple of them, time permitting. First is kesef. This is the most fundamental type of acquisition, money. If I pay for an object with cash, or sometimes even with other merchandise, the Torah sees this as an effective way of acquiring the desired object. Another type of kinyan is called shtar, which means document. If a legal document is written up attesting to the transaction, that is an effective kinyan and the object is acquired. Another type of kinyan, which is primarily by real estate, is known as chazaka, which literally means strength, but is a reference to when a person shows manual ownership of the land he is about to acquire. So for example, he would break down a wall or set up a door and lock it. Those would be ways to show his ownership on the land, and the Torah recognizes that as a kinyan, and thereby the real estate now goes to the buyer.
Okay. That's easy enough, right? Matters of Mashiach is up next.
והוא גואלנו, והוא גואלנו, משיח מלך צדקנו, הרבי מלובביץ' מלך המשיח, הרבי מלובביץ'.
Excuse me. In honor of the Rebbe's and Rebbitzins' wedding anniversary, we learn that husband and wife constitute a single entity and share a single soul. That explains the tremendous, unparalleled joy of marriage. Two half souls separated at birth and raised in different homes, different communities, perhaps even different countries. They're being reunited by the power of He who sits and matches couples. In a similar vein, the joy of the time of Mashiach is compared to a wedding. Mashiach will reunite every aspect of creation with that aspect's inner soul. When the soul is revealed, it becomes apparent that everything is, in essence, one, only separated by body and external form. Then, all of creation will join together as one, uniting with godliness, and that will create tremendous joy on a great scale, for Mashiach unites all of creation. Wow. All right, we're going to skip right to bringing heaven down to earth today. Are you ready? All right. How do you fix up the human beast? Well, first with food, then with prayer, but ultimately by doing business. You need to start with meditation and prayer because the beast inside needs to experience not only wonder, but love for Hashem. The problem is, in prayer and meditation, you haven't met the beast on its own ground. Next, eat your breakfast like a human being is meant to eat, a step higher than the food you consume, raising it up rather than it letting it pull you down. Then, yes, you've met your human beast on its own ground, but not on its own terms. You're still fighting with it, against its desire to be pulled down into the food. So then, go out into the world and provide goods and services of value, and do that with integrity. Then, no longer are you fighting against a human beast, you're working with it and from within it, with all the talents and the skills that you have. Because otherwise, you're not providing the value for which others are paying, and that's not integrity. So now, you can understand why the very first question asked of the soul when she returns from her mission in this world is not how did you pray or how did you eat, but did you do business with integrity? For that is how you truly repair the world. Tikkun Olam. Yeah, you know it is. All right? Come talk to me more. Any of the Actors Rabbis groups at Blue Sky, Clubhouse, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitter, WhatsApp, YouTube, or theactorsrabbi.com. Sign up for our mailing list and for life coaching services should you need them these 11 days before Hanukkah starts. All right, let's make an after bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei nefashos rabos v'chesronan al kol ma shebarasa lachayos bohem nefesh kol chai baruch chei haolamim.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, excuse me. Thank you to my Patreon sponsors, Pest Pro Riddle, Tarzan Orchids, Dina D Design, Bracha Biederman, Avi G, Rezum Musavi, Ruthie, Jennifer, our anonymous donor. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of Breakfast with Ellie. Thank you for sponsoring. And thank you for helping us get to our new computer, which is really, really, really important. If you would like to participate, scan the handy QR code right here on your screen. Look at that brand new computer that we got. It's amazing. breakfastwithellie.live/new computer, breakfastwithellie.live/new computer, or patreon.com/theactorsrabbi if you would like to contribute today in bringing Torah around the world. I know it sounds like a big deal, and you know what? It is a big deal. It is. You can be part of the movement to make sure that Torah is getting all over the world, and it goes in your merit, which is really, really cool. All right. Light. Yoi Muchnik. Yoi Muchnik has a beautiful, beautiful song about lighting our menorah today. We thank him for the use of that song. Go out and do something nice, something good for someone today on the 14th day of Kislev, the anniversary of the Lubavitcher Rebbe and Rebbitzин's wedding, the day that connected the Rebbe to his Hasidim, as he said many, many, many times over many, many, many years. Do a mitzvah today in honor of this big, special occasion. In the words of Rabbi Isaac Hamler, have affection for a fellow, Hashem will have affection for you. Do a kindness for a fellow, Hashem will do a kindness for you. Oh, excuse me. Draw a fellow close, and Hashem will draw you close to him. Make it a great and glorious day, and for crying out loud, be the reason someone smiles. See you tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye.
I put on my fedora, it's time to light menorah. Hanukkah has come at last. My family surrounds the joy and the sound. Together we connect to our past. I'm making holy light, vanishing the night. My soul is on overdrive. We dance around the flames, playing lots of games, grooving to this awesome vibe. Nun Gimel, hey, hey, show the world we're here to stay. Nun Gimel, hey, hey, Mashiach's coming any day. So light, 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 light up the night. Light, 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 light up the night. Light, 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 the darkness we fight. Light, 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 light up the night. Mashiach's coming any day. So light, 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 light up the night. Light, 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 light up the night. Light, 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 the darkness we fight. Light, 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 light up the night.
Bring them home, bring them home. We've been praying for so long, so Abba, please bring them home. Bring them home, please bring them home. We've been praying for so long, so Abba, please bring them home. We're coming home, we're almost home.